This is the introduction of part three, the last part of your nonprofit project. So, part three is going to focus on the digital content. It's going to focus on just a one page static page landing page. So, what the opening page of the website might look like, as well as a couple of social media graphics. So, let's dive into this. You guys will have the sheet so you can read everything in detail, but I just want to hit the highlights. So you guys will be developing a wireframe, which will be a rough sketch of the layout of your website that will go in your research binder. And then this page, landing page for your nonprofit organization, whichever one you're working for, that you did your logo for, this will serve to inform your audience about your organization and cause and be a source of information and resources. So you can pull from the parent organization's existing website. So if you want to look at the Buy for a Real Change website, just for flow and content. Now, obviously, some of that is specific to Buy for a Real Change, but there is some information that we could probably pull over and repurpose. Aurelia will also be providing us with some additional content for the social media. And we do have those brief descriptions about the organizations that we had from the beginning of the semester that you can put on your static page as well. Okay, the landing page serves as the first initial contact for this organization's online presence. So in your research binder, you'll have a wireframe. There's another video that talks about wireframes, a style tile. I have a video that walks you through that as well, and a minimum of 2 inspiration examples and with those. So a minimum of 2 inspiration examples of nonprofit websites. So you can screenshot the landing page, or if you find a project on Behance, you can save those images and put those in there. But you can paste those images into your research binder. And along with that, I want you to write about what you like about them and how you might incorporate those strategies into your design. So a minimum of 2 inspiration images. You can have more than 2, but maybe keep it to like 2 to 4. Okay, so your landing page, we will have a minimum of 3 sections and content areas, and I'm going to break that down for you in the next page. So you will feature a header area with your site and logo on your landing page, so that'll be at the top of your page. You'll apply your branding, and then you'll also have a navigation bar in your static page. Okay, hero image and or featured content area. We will have that as well. And again, we're going to unpack that, and secondary content areas. And also a lot of nonprofits, and they even have one on the For Real Change website, a lot of nonprofits have like donate buttons or call to action items. So those are very important to a nonprofit page. A footer area with contact information. You'll always have a header, you'll always have a footer to your website. Those things stay consistent. And additional content as needed or determined by you. And I'm happy to have those conversations with you as well. And utilize images, data, and infographics whenever possible, and utilize techniques such as call to action and storytelling. Okay, as far as imagery, you may use some of the site's original images. However, you're not obligated to work with these. Some of those may not work depending on your nonprofit, but we can also pull some stock images, and we can actually reach out to Aurelia. I don't know if she has any images from some of these events, since for the last year we haven't been able to gather, but she might have some images that we could use on the site that's specific to your organization. So typography and hierarchy, you may be introducing more typography that you didn't use in your logo, and that's okay. Remember, good sites use simple typography, no more than 2 typefaces. I highly recommend that you find one type family, so one type family that has lots of different weights and attributes, and work within that. Google Fonts, Adobe Fonts has some great resources. And good UX starts with a clear and easy to navigate hierarchy. So be sure to keep this in mind when building your static pages. Okay, so when applying your existing identity, remember to incorporate your previously established visual identity. So your logo, brand colors, visual attributes, typography. But again, you may need to introduce an additional type family that's appropriate for web legibility. As far as creating, you'll create this in Illustrator, and you will make sure that you have the 1024 pixel wide option, and then you can actually drag your artboard down to increase the length of your web page. Okay, so looking at some examples here. So this is when I say a minimum of 3 content areas, we have 1, 2, and 3. You can have more, but a minimum of 3 content areas makes for a good static page as an example, as an exercise for you guys. And again, we have that header site logo area, we have the hero image and or featured content, and we have secondary content areas. So again, kind of look at the structure of the Forward World Change website. You don't have to use everything exactly, but you can kind of see how the parent organization is structuring their content. And again, including those volunteer call to action items and a footer area, and then additional content as needed by you. So here is, and again, you guys can look at these on your own. Here's a couple of examples. One of the things that we really talk about is the idea of above the fold. Okay, so think of the screen as a front of a newspaper. This is the first, your laptop monitor, your desktop monitor, whatever. What we see here, think of that, the first page of visible content in your landing and home page, that is above the fold. Like if we hold a newspaper up, we see this part first, and then we open the newspaper and we see the rest, right? So think of that idea too, like what is the main content in your feature area, and then as you scroll down, what is that other content? Okay, so again, web content should be viewed in grids and sections as the viewer scrolls down the screen, and I'll have some resources for you for grids on the web as well. Okay, so that is kind of part 1 of part 3. It's a static page. And then the second part of this will be the social media content. Okay, and that is, oops, sorry guys, not sure what happened there. Anyway, we'll go ahead and talk about the project. So again, you've established your look, and you want to add to the social media presence for the nonprofit, because once these organizations get up and running and they roll out the logos and the branding, they will start to have their own social media. And again, Aurelia will be providing us some examples of what type of graphics they might need for social media. So you will be able to incorporate that once we have that information. But again, they're looking to create graphics that help curate content that further engages their users and promotes awareness and support of the organization. Okay, so first of all, you should begin by looking at their current social media channels: Instagram, Facebook. Again, by Forward World Change has a pretty robust Facebook page. So look at that for a reference. Also look up similar organizations and their social media. So look up organizations for youth and for your particular demographic that you're working with. And, just kind of see and notice the trends, and not only the visuals, but kind of their whole vibe that they give off on social media. And you will be responsible for determining which channels are appropriate for you to create content for. So this means that you should do demographic research. Where are your users? Most likely Facebook and Instagram is what Aurelia is going to be using. And pay strong attention to the voice that their current social media is. Is it more formal? Is it casual? Is it playful? And again, drafting written content. So you're going to focus on the graphics first, but for one graphic, you will be responsible for drafting a post, right? So when you would post this graphic, what would you say with it? Okay. So the content should match the voice of your brand and be appropriate when displayed with the graphic. And it should be short and concise and no longer than 3 to 5 sentences. So again, go and look at kind of the written content that by Forward World Change uses and how they structure their wording in their websites or in their Facebook. Okay, content should be used to create a call to action and to engage the audience. So again, think about hashtags that could be incorporated with the post as well, and see what hashtags that Forward World Change uses, and research their current social media, which, by Forward World Change is the one that we have to look at and kind of figure out how this organization would fit into that. Okay, so again, remain on brand, make sure you're using consistent colors, type, and also stylistically too. The photography style that you're using on your website should also be the type of style of photography that you're using in your social media post. So in your research binder, you will include a minimum of 3 images of nonprofit social media, along with a written description of what they're doing well and how you might incorporate those strategies into your work. Okay, so the deliverables, so we're going to focus on the static graphics first, and then we'll bring in the written content. And the very last step after the second drafts, we'll be mocking it up, and I'll provide you guys some mock-ups. So don't worry about that step at all right now. Focus on creating the static graphics themselves. And remember, with your research binder, you're going to include a minimum of 3 images of nonprofit social media, along with a written description of what they're doing well and how you might incorporate those strategies, whether they're visual or conceptual, into your own work for your social media. Got a list of the social media dimensions here. Instagram, I don't think has changed, but Facebook definitely, I know they've changed their post photo. So definitely go back and double check what the current dimensions are, because these are definitely older dimensions. So double check those before you start creating. And then obviously not Wednesday, November 20th. Sorry guys, I need to go back and update this file before I post the file for you guys. Student example. So these are previous student examples. They were working with different nonprofits, not similar to what we're working with, but they chose a certain nonprofit. So really think of the call to action, the data, the visual storytelling of how you incorporate those strategies in social media. So that is part 3, and there are other resources posted in Blackboard as well with the other components.